There comes a pivotal moment in life when you recognize a disquieting truth: the hostility directed toward you often has very little to do with your actions and far more to do with the unseen, unhealed depths within others. You may wonder why a friend suddenly grows distant, why a colleague begins to undermine you, why someone who once praised you now resents your presence. The immediate, instinctual response is to turn the scrutiny inward. What did I do wrong? Where did I misstep? This self-blame is a natural reflex, a search for cause and effect in a world that often feels chaotic. But the truth is far more complex and profoundly hidden. It is not your actions they are reacting to. It is the shadow within themselves that they have never dared to confront. The landscape of the shadow. The human psyche is not simply light and clarity. As Carl Jung profoundly illustrated, every person carries within them a shadow. This shadow is the repository of everything we deny, repress, or deem unacceptable: our rejected traits, our disowned desires, our buried shame, and our unacknowledged fears. These are the aspects of the self that the conscious ego cannot bear to face. Instead of integrating them, we push them down into the unconscious. Yet, the shadow never disappears. It lingers, waiting, heavy and silent, until a specific trigger calls it forth. And that trigger, more often than not, is another person. You may become the living embodiment of what someone has denied within themselves. Perhaps your quiet confidence highlights the insecurity they cannot admit. Perhaps your discipline exposes the laziness they have hidden. Perhaps your compassion reminds them of their own cruelty, or your freedom reveals the chains they have willingly locked themselves into. When this happens, they do not see you. They see their own shadow reflected in you, and they despise it. The hatred, envy, and resentment they direct your way are often nothing more than the violent projection of their own unclaimed parts. This is why people can treat you like an enemy without you ever having harmed them. They wage war not because of your actions, but because your very existence unsettles their carefully constructed illusion. You become the mirror that shows them who they truly are, and that reflection is unbearable. Instead of facing their own darkness, they attempt to shatter the mirror. They speak against you, sabotage you, or distance themselves, believing that by removing you, they can remove the shadow. But the shadow follows them everywhere, whispering, waiting, demanding recognition. The mirror effect: you are a reflection. Human beings do not simply see others as they are, they see themselves reflected back. This is the mirror effect. What we admire in others often reveals what we long to cultivate within ourselves. What we despise in others often exposes the parts of us we refuse to face. When you embody qualities they have suppressed, you become a walking, talking mirror of their unlived life. For many, this reflection is intolerable. The person who mocks your ambition is often stung by the ache of their own unfulfilled potential. The one who cannot stand your confidence is echoing their own buried insecurity. The individual who despises your freedom is raging against the chains of fear and approval that bind them. In every case, the judgment cast outward is more a reflection of their inner world than a measure of your worth. Their admiration is a reflection of their unclaimed potential, their hatred is a reflection of their disowned shadow. Crucially, the mirror effect applies to you as well. The people who irritate you, the traits you find unbearable, the behaviors you condemn with unusual intensity, these are signals of your own unacknowledged shadow. The laziness you despise in another may reveal the part of you that fears rest. The arrogance you loathe may point to your own buried hunger for recognition. To recognize this is to understand the profound mechanism of projection. When a person projects their insecurities onto you, they are unloading what they cannot face. They accuse you of selfishness when it is they who fear being selfish. They call you arrogant when it is they who secretly long to feel superior. The threat of authenticity. Authenticity is one of the most disarming forces a human being can embody. It is the simple, yet radical, act of living without the constant need for masks, of speaking with a voice that is not borrowed, and of acting in alignment with one's inner compass. Yet, as liberating as authenticity feels to the one who embraces it, it often awakens fierce resistance in others. Why? Because authenticity is not just a way of being, it is a mirror that exposes falseness. Many people live behind personas, carefully constructed identities designed to win approval and shield them from rejection. The presence of someone authentic destabilizes that armor. It reveals the fragility of the mask. It makes their carefully crafted identity feel weak, hollow, and temporary. Your authenticity reminds them of the compromises they've made, the truths they've silenced, and the roles they've played just to belong. They do not hear you say, "You are not real," yet something in their unconscious registers it as a danger. And danger awakens defense. That defense often appears as rejection, criticism, or contempt toward the one who simply dares to live truthfully. This is why authenticity can feel isolating. You are not being rejected for any harm you've done, but for the way you're being challenges the stability of the illusions others cling to for survival. It is easier to scorn the one who stands in truth than to face the prison of one's own falsehood. The silence of envy. Envy rarely announces itself. It does not arrive with a confession or an honest admission of weakness. To admit envy is to admit inadequacy, and pride will not allow it. Instead, envy hides in silence. It lingers in the pauses between words, in the sudden withdrawal of warmth, in the subtle shift of energy that tells you something has changed, though no one dares to name it. You may notice someone who once celebrated your victories no longer claps as loudly, no longer reaches out. Their silence feels heavy, charged with a resentment they will never voice. What makes envy so insidious is that it feeds on closeness. Strangers may admire you, but it is often those closest to you who feel the sting of comparison most intensely. Your progress illuminates their stagnation. Your light exposes their own unfulfilled potential. And instead of using that discomfort to grow, they retreat into silence, nursing a hidden wound that turns into quiet hostility. Envy clouds perception. It makes others see not who you are, but what they fear they are not. Words you spoke with innocence are twisted into arrogance. Achievements you earned are dismissed as luck. Their silence is not neutral, it is the silence that withholds recognition, the silence that quietly wishes for your failure just to feel a sense of relief. Unseen power dynamics. Human interaction is rarely as simple as it appears. Beneath the surface of every conversation and relationship flows a current of power, not always of dominance, but of control, influence, and the unacknowledged desire to shape another's reality. We like to believe relationships are built on love and respect, but beneath lies subtler motives, the need for reassurance, the craving for recognition, the desire for obedience. These needs play out in the ways people treat one another. When someone turns cold or a friend becomes competitive, it is often because an invisible balance of power has shifted. The person who once felt in control may sense they are losing influence. The one who thrived on your dependence may feel threatened when you show independence. Consider how people react when you set a boundary. The hostility is rarely about the boundary itself, but about the loss of unspoken power. Or think of how some respond to your success, it becomes a reminder of their own lack, disrupting the unspoken agreement that kept you beneath them. Power does not always mean obvious dominance. Sometimes it is the subtle leverage of emotional manipulation, the ability to make someone feel guilty, the capacity to withhold affection, the silent pressure of expectation. When you stop playing along, the structure collapses. And few things breed resentment faster than the collapse of a hidden structure of power. How to navigate the unseen war, a shield of awareness. Understanding these dynamics is your greatest shield. It allows you to stop personalizing hatred and to see conflict for what it often is, a projection of internal strife. Stop taking it personally. When you see clearly, you realize they are not fighting you, they are fighting themselves. Their reaction is not a reflection of your essence, but of the part of their essence they have buried and disowned. See criticism as information, analyze the criticism you receive. Does it point to a genuine fault, or does it sound like a projection? The traits they attack with unusual fervor are often clues to their own shadow. Do not shrink to comfort others, to dim your light, to downplay your success, or to abandon your authenticity to make others comfortable is a betrayal of your own soul. Their discomfort is their work, not yours. Acknowledge your own shadow. The final, and most crucial, step is to turn the mirror inward. The people who irritate you are your greatest teachers. What you reject in them points directly to what you reject in yourself. To do this work, to integrate your own shadow, is to break the cycle of projection and live with profound self-awareness and peace. In the end, the hostility you encounter is often the most distorted form of compliment. It means you are visible. It means you are living in a way that challenges the unconscious. It means you have become a mirror, and though many may wish to break it, the reflection you offer is the very thing that could, if they dared to look, set them free. To understand that you are a mirror is to acquire a profound and unshakable inner peace. But awareness alone is not the end of the journey, it is the foundation upon which you must build a new way of being. When you stop internalizing the hostility of others, you reclaim a monumental amount of energy previously spent on confusion, self-doubt, and the futile attempt to manage others' perceptions. This energy is now free to be redirected toward your own sovereignty. The fortress of inner sovereignty castle. Your newfound awareness becomes the cornerstone of your inner fortress. This is not a fortress of walls to keep people out, but one of clarity to keep your spirit intact. Within it, you are the final arbiter of your worth. The opinions, judgments, and silent resentments of others lose their power to destabilize you because you can now see their source. This sovereignty manifests in several key ways. The end of explanation, you release the exhausting need to explain yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. You understand that no amount of reasoning can calm a storm that is raging within them. You state your boundaries, you own your choices, and you let your actions speak for themselves, free from the burden of overjustification. Emotional non-engagement. When met with projected hostility, you learn not to engage on the same emotional frequency. You refuse to be baited into a conflict that was never yours to fight. This is not coldness, it is profound emotional intelligence. You respond from a place of choice, not reaction. As the old adage goes, you do not wrestle with a pig in the mud, you both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. Compassionate detachment. This is perhaps the most advanced skill. It is the ability to see a person's behavior as a symptom of their inner war and to feel a sense of compassion for their suffering, without taking responsibility for healing it. You can wish them peace from a distance, even as you protect your own. You detach from the need for them to change or to see you clearly. The art of conscious relationship management. With this clarity, your approach to relationships becomes intentional and discerning. You begin to classify the people in your life not as good or bad, but based on their capacity to engage with you authentically. Nurture the mirrors of growth. These are the rare individuals who see your light and are inspired by it, not threatened. They have done their own shadow work and can celebrate your successes without feeling diminished. They offer constructive feedback from a place of love, not projection. Invest your energy here, deeply and generously. Manage the mirrors of the unconscious. For those who consistently project onto you, the envious colleague, the critical family member, the competitive friend, you learn to manage the interaction. You set firm, non-negotiable boundaries. You limit your vulnerability. You engage with them on a need-to-know basis, protecting your peace without declaring war. You understand that their battle is internal, and you consciously choose not to become their battlefield. The courage to release. There will be those whose hostility is so entrenched, whose need to shatter the mirror is so violent, that the relationship becomes toxic to your well-being. Sovereignty gives you the courage to release them. This is not an act of hatred, but of profound self-respect. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, especially when they are the ones holding the match. The ultimate invitation, your own shadow work. The final, and most critical, application of this knowledge is to relentlessly turn the mirror back upon yourself. The world outside you will only ever be a reflection of the world within you. Therefore, the most powerful work you can do is to reclaim your own projections. Ask yourself with ruthless honesty. Who irritates me beyond reason? What trait do they embody that I have disowned in myself? What criticisms make me most defensive? What vulnerable truth are they touching upon? Whose success stirs a flicker of envy in me? What does this reveal about my own unlived life? This is not about self-flagellation, it is about self-reclamation. By acknowledging your own shadow, your own capacity for pettiness, jealousy, fear, and arrogance, you disarm it. You integrate these disowned parts, and in doing so, you become whole. A whole person no longer triggers, or is triggered by, the fragmentation in others so easily. Living as integrated light. When you stop fighting the unseen wars of others and make peace with the war within yourself, you undergo a fundamental transformation. You begin to live as integrated light. You carry both your strength and your vulnerability, your confidence and your humility, your power and your compassion. People will still project. The unconscious will still feel unsettled by your presence. But now, their hostility will land not on a fragile ego, but on the solid ground of your self-awareness. It will not stick. It will glance off the armor of your sovereignty. You will walk through the world with a quiet, unassailable freedom. You will understand that the greatest rebellion is not to fight against the darkness in others, but to steadfastly embody your own light, offering a reflection that is clear, honest, and ultimately, liberating, for yourself, and for those brave enough to look. The ecology of the soul. Understanding the dynamics of projection and sovereignty leads to a final, essential realization: your inner world is a delicate ecosystem. Just as a forest cannot thrive when overrun with invasive species or stripped of its nutrients, your soul cannot flourish in an environment of constant psychic attack, even if you understand its origins. The final stage of this work is to become a master ecologist of your own being, curating your energy, pruning toxic connections, and cultivating fertile ground for your own growth. The energetic immune system. Your awareness acts as your first line of defense, but you must also develop an energetic immune system. This is the practice of consciously managing what you allow to enter your psychic and emotional space. Psychic hygiene: just as you shower to cleanse your body, you must develop rituals to cleanse your energy. This could be as simple as a walk in nature without your phone, a few minutes of mindful breathing after a difficult interaction, or the practice of visualizing a shield of light around you before entering a challenging environment. The intent is to consciously release energy that is not yours to carry. Curating your inputs, the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the environments you frequent are all forms of psychic nutrition. A diet of gossip, fear-based news, and superficial drama is the equivalent of feeding your soul junk food. Be ruthless in curating this input. Choose nourishment, books that challenge and inspire, art that elevates, and conversations that connect on a deeper level. The alchemy of adversity. When you cease to see hostility as a personal attack, you can begin to use it as fuel for your own evolution. This is the alchemy of adversity, transforming base reactions into the gold of self-knowledge. Hostility as a compass: the very traits that others react to with hostility are often your most potent gifts, merely misunderstood. Their resistance becomes a compass, pointing you toward your own unique strengths. That arrogance they accuse you of may be your unapologetic confidence. That selfishness may be your healthy boundaries. Do not let their distorted labels cause you to abandon your power. Instead, refine it. The fire of friction, the friction caused by these interactions, while uncomfortable, is a powerful grinding stone for the soul. It polishes your patience, forges your resilience, and clarifies your values. You learn to stand firm in a storm without becoming the storm yourself. This friction is not an obstacle to your path, it is an essential part of the path itself, shaping you into a more integrated and potent human being. The responsibility of the mirror. To know you are a mirror is not a passive state, it carries a profound responsibility. When you understand the impact your presence can have, you are called to wield your authenticity with both courage and compassion. Clarity, not cruelty. Living authentically does not mean unloading your unfiltered opinions under the guise of just being honest. It means aligning your actions with your inner truth while considering the impact of your expression. You can be a clear mirror without being a cruel one. Your authenticity should be a beacon, not a bludgeon. Inspired, not imposed, your role is to live your truth so fully that it gives others permission to do the same. You are not there to force others to look in the mirror, but to hold it so steadily that when they are ready, they can see their own reflection. Your very existence becomes an invitation to wholeness, one that others can accept in their own time. The final liberation, beyond the need for the mirror. The ultimate stage of this journey is when you no longer need the external world to reflect anything back to you at all. Your sense of self becomes so internally generated and unwavering that the opinions, admiration, or hostility of others become like weather patterns outside your sturdy home. They are noticed, but they do not dictate your inner climate. In this state, you engage with the world from a place of overflow, not need. You love not because you need to be loved in return, but because love is your nature. You create not for applause, but because creation is your purpose. You are a mirror that has become a light source, no longer dependent on an external object to define its function. This is the final, quiet victory. You move through the world, a sovereign being in a universe of reflections, untouchable not because you are hard, but because you are whole. You have made peace with the shadows, both within and without, and in doing so, you have not only understood the unseen war, you have transcended it.